Welcome to this edition of Dufferin Life. I'm your host, Teena Avery. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have a very interesting lady with us today. We're going to be talking to a local artist. Jo, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Well, it's completely my pleasure. I love to talk about different things, and I'm very excited to tell everybody on your behalf that you currently have an exhibit happening at the Museum of Dufferin. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so the exhibition is on until October the 21st, and it takes place in the Silo Gallery, which, if you've ever been there, it's a beautiful space. It's a curved gallery, and it has lots of windows with amazing views over Mulmer and Mono. So it's a really lovely place to have my work, and there's 29 pieces of work there. Wonderful. All of the work in the exhibition I designed specifically for the space. So yeah.
Wow, so you actually knew that you were putting your work in the museum before, so you were able to
exactly. So they approached me about the exhibition a while ago now, and then I've been very busy making the work, and I had a plan of the space because it is curved, so it's not like a traditional gallery with one big wall.
Right.
So I had to kind of create the pieces to fit in the space specifically. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that takes a talent unto itself, I think.
Lots of planning, yeah.
So the exhibit itself, it's Jo Thompson, and her exhibit is Rooted in Nature. So tell us a little bit about, so now we know that you've created it for where it's being displayed, but tell us a little bit about what to expect when we come to see it.
So we've kind of designed it so that it's quite an immersive experience. So there's music, a soundtrack of nature playing during your kind of walk around the gallery. And the fact that there's these big windows that look out over Mulmer and Mono, I think the work works really well in that space because everything, the subject matter of the work comes from nature. So everything that's in the work comes from what's outside those windows. So it's that kind of juxtaposition of the work against the views. So I'm hoping people will walk around and kind of get a sense of that when they're there. So is there a rhyme or reason to where people begin when you put an exhibit out like this, or is it to walk around and just immerse yourself in the experience? I guess because I did think quite hard about how the work would be displayed, which was difficult because I was doing that in a different space. So until I actually saw it on the walls, I wasn't sure if it worked. But I think because it's curved, you just naturally, the lift doors open and you naturally walk around.
Right.
But I had to hand the work over to the curators of the museum, which was really difficult because I'd kind of planned everything, but I wasn't sure exactly how it would look. And I remember the first time I went into the exhibit, which is probably 2 days before the official opening, and I just stood there and I was amazed at the job that they'd done. They'd done everything perfectly. There was just one little hiccup which we had to deal with, but it all worked out fine, and it was just so nice to see all the work that I'd planned actually on the walls and be able to walk around it. So yeah, it was very exciting.
No doubt at all. So let's talk about the type of artist, or this particular exhibit, the type of art that you're exhibiting. From what I understand, and I'm going to ask you to go into a little bit more detail, you've taken two very old concepts of I believe photography and art and put it together to create something very unique and special.
So yeah, this is probably the oldest form of photography, but the work itself is produced without a camera or negatives, so it's cameraless, which is quite hard for people to understand.
I'm like, okay, I don't get it.
So it means that each print that I create is a one-off original.
Okay.
So there's only one of them, unlike a digital reproduction or a traditional film camera where you can make multiple copies. With this work, there's just the one piece.
Okay.
So that each one is unique. And they're made using photographic materials, so light-sensitive papers.
Okay.
And the plant that features in the print is laid on top of the paper and then exposed to either sunlight for the cyanotypes, which is the blue one.
So we're gonna have a quick look.
So this is a cyanotype.
Okay.
This one's created by painting two solutions onto watercolor paper.
Okay.
And when the two solutions separately, they're not light sensitive, but when they're together, they become light sensitive.
Oh.
So with this one, I placed the leaf on top of the paper, exposed it in the sunlight. So it really is all about nature, because this side of the work happens outside. And then when you wash the print, what's left behind is almost like the shadow of the leaf. So the white areas where the leaf has covered the paper.
Oh, okay.
If that makes sense.
It does. It does. I mean, it's harder when you don't when you're not seeing it for sure. Like, you know. But I mean, I understand the concept of the layers, because when you said photoless, or like with no camera,
cameraless,
I'm like, cameraless. I'm like, I'm not understanding, but I want to have the opportunity to show this one as well, because this is absolutely beautiful.
So this one is created in the same way, but in a traditional darkroom.
Okay.
So with photographic materials in a darkroom, and in this one in particular is made with dried daffodils.
Okay.
So it has a very unique translucency to the petals in this one. There's actually one of these in the exhibition, a bigger one, a daffodil print. So if people want to go to the exhibition, they'll be able to see pretty much.
Absolutely. Like, I think that the concept, like, I mean, it's beautiful, and obviously nature's your inspiration, but what else inspires you when you're doing your work?
Pretty much nature is the thing that I find that I need to be outside every day. Even when I'm working in my other job, sometimes if I get stuck on an idea or a concept, I'll go for a walk in the woods, and that helps me to clear my mind and to produce the ideas that I need. So really, it is everything around me that inspires me. Where I live, we have forest, and we have a pond, and there's a bridge on the pond, and I'm often sitting there just kind of looking at everything, and I see something and I'm like, okay, that would make a really good print.
Okay. So
it's quite a simple process, but something that perhaps some people haven't seen before, because this is kind of like the very start of photography. They made photograms. So the name of this is photograms.
Photograms, okay. Well, because you're also, I mean, you're a photographer as well, taking headshots and that sort of thing. I was one of those people, victims, yes.
Hopefully it wasn't too painful.
Well, for me it's painful. Everyone, and I'll tell you, everyone says, but you're on TV. I don't like to have my picture taken.
I don't either.
I completely enjoy interviewing people, getting information, creating awareness, letting people know what's going on in the community. But seeing myself in photos or sitting for a professional photo, I become that introvert that is not really existent in my system.
I understand.
So you were saying that every piece itself is unique, and it's a one-time creation. Do you do other type? Like, is this the main type of art that you do?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have lots of ideas and lots of plans to take this in different directions, but at the moment I'm trying to focus on these two processes. And every time I make one, it's a magical feeling when I actually see the print, because I never know exactly what to expect.
Okay.
Particularly the cyanotype, because they are made outside, so the conditions, I can't control them always.
Now, have you tried this with other things that are not nature-based? Can it be done?
It can be done, for sure, yeah. Anything that has a translucency to it, you could use. More so in the darkroom. The cyanotype, possibly, but one of the key elements to it is having a direct contact between the plant and the paper. Okay. So I have to cover the plant with glass, because obviously when you take it outside, there can be movement with the conditions. So you could use other things, but they would need to be fairly flat. So I do use feathers, which is obviously another organic thing. And we have tons of birds that visit our property, and they leave me these little presents, and I now I have a huge
feathers. I do mean feathers.
I mean the feathers, and I have a huge collection of feathers now too. So, and they work really well because they're so translucent. So you get different, like in the leaf one, where you get the different levels of color coming through. That's because the light has kind of penetrated through the leaf and created that kind of two-tone effect.
Okay. So we've discussed the fact that you're a photographer, but how did you photograms? Like, how did you start doing this?
So when I was at art school, I spent a lot of time in the darkroom, and actually photograms were the first thing that they taught you how to do, because it teaches you the fundamentals of darkroom printing. So it takes away having to worry about negatives and enlargers, and it's a very simple way of learning how to print. And really, I've felt kind of disillusioned with the digital world for quite a while. And during COVID, when we were spending so much time outside as our only form of entertainment and exercise, because all the sports had finished, and I just kind of felt this urge to get back to a really slow process, a manual process. And I kind of remembered what I'd done at art school all those years ago. And I did some research, and I managed to get hold of an enlarger, and I set up a dark room in the basement, which is something I've wanted to do for the longest time, but I finally had the opportunity to do it. And then I just began experimenting, and it just kind of went from there, really.
Wonderful. So how long does the process take?
Well, well, my process starts with foraging for the actual plants. So I'm constantly looking for new material, which happens all season, because in the winter there's naturally dried materials that I collect. So it kind of starts with the foraging side of things and the collecting, and then really it's more to do with, I guess, the composition of the print and what time I have to actually make it, because I'm fitting it in around life. So, with the darkroom, I try to have a whole day where I can go in the darkroom and print. With the cyanotype, it really just depends what the weather's doing, because it's weather dependent. So I can spend a few hours doing that. And make a few prints, but they're not always successful. So
you have to have that kind of backup plan, right?
Yeah.
So when you were preparing for this show, how long did it take you to get all of these prints ready?
Well, these two prints I have had on my wall, so I grabbed them on the way in.
Yeah, no, but for the exhibit.
Oh, for the exhibit, I'm sorry. Oh, that took months. Yeah, it took months, because I only wanted to show the best work, obviously, and I wanted it to have some kind of continuity when you walk through, and also the framing side of things. That takes time. So yeah, it took me a long time. It was a lot of work, but it was really rewarding to see it on the wall. So it's worth it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't imagine, like, you just have this sense of accomplishment, this sense of pride when you see.
I actually cried.
Oh, that's amazing.
I was on my own in the space, and I was like, oh, yeah. So it was a really lovely feeling, and I've been able to. We had an opening, and lots of my friends came, which was wonderful. And yeah, lots of people have been very complimentary, and I did 2 workshops there as well this summer.
Wonderful.
So I taught the cyanotype process to 2 really wonderful groups of people.
Wonderful. Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to thank you, Jo, for coming on the show and sharing all of this with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And good luck with the rest of the exhibit.
Thank you.
Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you're tuning in at a great time because we're just going to get to talk about an event that's happening in town that might be, and I know will be, of great interest to many, many of you there. Joining me today, we have Diane Goody from, you are a committee member, fundraising committee member for the Community Living Dufferin. Is that correct? Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the chance to come and talk to you about our event and about community living.
Well, I definitely, I'm an advocate of Community Living Dufferin. For quite some time, people have come on the show, but I enjoy sharing what's happening in the community because it just gives us an opportunity to create a little bit more awareness. So let's, I haven't even said the name of the event yet, so I'm going to let you introduce the event and tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's called Brews Cruise, and what we have done is partnered with some of the breweries, pardon me, and one of the cideries locally, and we have set out a route to follow, and you go around the route, and it's a scavenger hunt.
Okay.
As well as a really great day out, a chance to sample some of the wares from the different spots that you're going to stop. And if, who knows, if you find a little antique store or garage sale or a little place to stop and have a nice bite of lunch, it's great because you're supporting local businesses.
And I was just about to say that, and I think that is one of the things. Not only is October, we're going to get to when it's coming, so just stay tuned. Not only is October a fabulous month for the colors and everything, it's an opportunity for you to still get out because soon the colder weather, which I don't even want to talk about, is going to be here. But this is an opportunity to support a very worthwhile organization, to go out and have some fun.
It will be a blast. It will be a blast. We're hoping to have lots of people come out and participate. We decided that we needed to do a fundraiser coming back from COVID, and we wanted to do something that we'd never done before. So this sort of fit the bill that we could partner with some of these places and hopefully bring in enough, a substantial amount of funds.
So we want to be clear, we're talking brews, B-R-E-W-S. You're going to have some brews. And you're going to cruise. So having that designated driver, we're going to point that out right now, is a very good idea.
And you do have to sign a contract for that.
Okay.
Because we want to make sure that if you're out and you're going to have somebody drinking, that you do have somebody that is driving, that is a designated driver, and that's really important to us for safety.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I was thinking that sounds like so much fun, but not everyone, you know, there's always somebody in the group. You just need to find that person that is either not willing, is willing to not drink that day, or is just a non-drinker.
I'm the guy that is always the designated driver because I'm the non-drinker.
Okay. So let's talk about this. So let's talk about when and how it works. So how people get involved.
Well, you can get involved by showing up on the day and signing up on the day. It's the 14th of October.
Okay.
It's a Saturday. Registration is between 10:30 and 11:30.
Okay.
Everybody will get a band, an armband. They'll get the first 25 cars that register will get a loot bag.
Oh, nice.
Not quite sure exactly what's in the loot bag now.
We never are.
Still putting things in.
We never are, yeah.
And you follow our route. You will pick up clues because we'll give you a question sheet, and you pick up the answers on the way.
Okay.
And the last stop is Mono Brewing.
Okay.
And you drop off your completed questions.
Right.
And we will go through them that night and the next day. Hopefully it's going to take us that long to go through all of them. And we will take all of the correct ones, put them in a separate barrel.
Okay.
And then on Monday we will draw for 3 wonderful gift baskets that have been donated by the local breweries in the cidery.
That sounds amazing.
And it should be a really fun day.
And I think what's really important, and I'm so glad I have you here, is because this is the first annual one that you've done.
Correct.
We need to get the word out. So maybe you can't come out that day. Maybe you don't have the funds to participate. Maybe you don't have a way to get around, whatever it happens to be. But what you can do is you can share this on social media. You can tell your friends about it. If you know people that have been to a couple of the breweries, maybe not seen all of them, please share the information, because that is how we make these types of events a success, so that they can come back another year and then they can raise the funds needed, which we're going to talk about right now. So you're raising funds for Community Living Dufferin. Let's start by talking about what Community Living Dufferin is, because some people may not know.
Well, Community Living Dufferin is an organization that supports people with intellectual disabilities. We offer programs. We have an independent living program, so that if you're capable and able to, with minimal help from staff, you can have your own apartment, go about your own life, but we're there sort of as a fallback to be able to help if you've got some budgeting problems. Maybe you have to get to a doctor and want somebody to come with you so you understand, helping you do your finances, that kind of thing. We also provide all sorts of programming that you can come either out to our location on Dufferin-Caledon Road 3 or wherever else we are. We have a photography group that actually goes out in the wilds and takes pictures, so there's always something to do.
Yes, and you also have the creative partners on stage in conjunction with Theatre Orangeville, which I'm a huge supporter of because I love their shows.
And you know, we're the only one in Canada that has that.
Wow.
And I would imagine we're probably the only one in North America that has it. And it's just an absolutely fabulous thing, and I've watched them from the beginning grow from, you know, sort of being very tentative on stage to now they're stars.
They're phenomenal. They're phenomenal. And I know that there was just a show that just passed by, but there'll be more on coming on the horizon. And if you haven't caught one, you really do have to see one. The amount of inspiration and joy and just that happy, warm, fuzzy feeling you have from seeing them perform is phenomenal.
Oh, it absolutely is. And I sometimes think the audience gets more out of it than the actors do.
Oh, I think that's definitely the case. I think they are professionals now. They go through the same processes that any actor does that goes on Theatre Orangeville's professional stage. They go through the auditions, they go through the rehearsals, they go through everything. And I think they're so comfortable now that it's just second nature to them. And when you walk in there, no matter what the show is about, it just envelops you, and it's an amazing experience. So if you haven't done that, keep an eye out for the next coming show. So let's talk a little bit about, because there's a house in Orangeville.
We have several houses. We have 16 houses.
Okay.
Most of them are in Orangeville. We do have one in Grand Valley now.
Okay.
And they're called group homes, but they really shouldn't be. We really need to rename them. As one of the clients that lives in one of them said to me, it's not a group home, it's my home.
Exactly.
And that's how they feel about it. That is their home. There are people there that support them to make sure that everything runs well, also to facilitate going on day trips, whatever.
Right. And I know my nephew has Prader-Willi syndrome, so yes. I know that there's a Prader-Willi syndrome house. Like, are they based on keeping people who have the same types of issues together?
The Prader-Willi home has just people that have Prader-Willi syndrome, because if you know anything about it, which you obviously do, but for anybody that doesn't know about it, it's a chromosome disorder that they never feel full.
They never feel full. It's very true.
They can literally eat themselves to death.
Yeah, and I think the majority, and from what I know about it, my sister-in-law is a phenomenal. She's a phenomenal mom to all of her kids. But my nephew was kind of lower on the scale, of development, and I think there's a bit of autism involved in there as well. But they never feel full, and they tend to stop growing after puberty. So their shape is normally very on the shorter side, a little bit wider side, because they're always eating. I will say that my sister-in-law did a phenomenal job with my nephew in that he's very thin. There's different ways. It just depends on your situation and what you're able to do and to help. But there are so many people that require the assistance from someone like Community Living Dufferin.
And until we had the house built, you had to go to Philadelphia in order to get treatment. Now, we still have a very close connection with them, but we are the only treatment center in southwestern Ontario for Prader-Willi.
Wow.
And so everything there is very different from the rest of the homes. The rest of the homes are a little more laid back. They're very much like you would find in your home or my home. Everybody does their own thing, and but in the Prader-Willi house, all of the food is kept under lock and key.
Yes.
It's measured out. It's the exercise is a big part of it. So it's very different from our regular homes.
Right. So let's hop back into talking about the event and what you're specifically fundraising for with this event?
Well, the event is, we hope, very reasonable. It's $25 a car. You get a tax receipt for $20.
Nice.
So that makes it, you know, a relatively inexpensive day, depending upon what you spend on your trip around and how many antiques you stop and buy if you find one of those places on the way. And the money will be used to buy 2 specially built wheelchair vans.
Okay.
One of them we needed yesterday, and one of them we will need tomorrow. Unfortunately for us, they are very, very expensive. They're over $100,000 each.
Wow.
They have special tracking in them so you can lock the wheelchairs in. And we're like a lot of other people, me included. Everybody's getting older. One of our clients just turned 80.
Wow.
And has been in service for as well, longer than I've been around. Has been in service, I understand, for 40 years. And so it's, you know, as you get older, things change. Plus, a lot of the people that do have developmental disabilities do have other physical disabilities. So we have a lot of folks that are in wheelchairs or use walkers, and it's pretty tough to get around. There isn't any wheelchair accessibility in Orangeville, so we have to do it ourselves. And everybody will say, well, you're government funded. Well, unfortunately, that's one of the things the government will not fund is transportation at all. I say out loud, and I'm probably wrong, and I will be brought up short for it, but I think the people in Queen's Park think everybody has a TTC, and we don't.
Right, right. And I think, because I mean, even when you are government funded, you're still not getting the funds. You still have to go out and fundraise. You're not getting 100% of what you need.
No, you don't.
Not even close.
No. No, and it's with inflation and everything else going on, it's getting worse. The vans that we do have are getting, shall we say, long in the tooth. So we're going to need to change those out one of these days shortly as well. So we've started a big fundraising blitz towards this, and this is our first full-fledged out and about, and our first fundraiser towards raising money to purchase the vans.
Okay, well, let's give it, we're getting close to running out of time. So I need you to go online and have a look at these wonderful breweries and the cidery that is involved. I want to thank you so much, Diane, for coming and joining and sharing this great information, and I wish you all the best with this event. Well,
thank you so much, and I really appreciate you being able to televise this for us and give us a hand up, because we need any help we can get, and I can assure anybody that comes out on that day, come have a great time. It'll be a beautiful day, a beautiful drive, and you're doing a good thing.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us as well. And until next time, bye-bye for now.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
After a night out with your friends, not having a plan for a safe ride home can leave you in a bad spot. You could end up riding in a police car, an ambulance, or a hearse. These unplanned modes of transportation can be a